Section 4. Liberty and Equality. Introduction. In the previous study section, we discussed two related concepts, power and authority. In this study section, we will examine the concepts of liberty and equality. In doing so, we will explore the meaning of both concepts, liberty and equality, and their types. Learning outcomes. When you have studied this section, you should be able to define and use correctly the term liberty. Discuss the forms of liberty. Explain equality. Describe the two types of equality. Liberty. The term liberty connotes freedom. This freedom can be bifurcated into national liberty and individual liberty. National liberty simply means the independence of a state from other states, while individual liberty means the freedom of the individual within society. The consideration of liberty in this study shall be on individual liberty. It may be asked, in what senses can we talk about individual liberty within the society? We can start by talking about negative and positive liberty. Types of liberty. 1. Negative liberty. This is freedom in the absolute sense. It connotes the view that the individual is free to do anything he likes without restraints. It means that we are not restrained from pursuing any actions that we desire, provided that these actions do not harm others. This latter part is what J.S. Mill refers to as harm principle. It should be noted, however, that freedom in this absolute sense is not possible due to natural and social limitations. According to Appadurai, a moment's reflection tells us that the liberty of this unlimited character is impossibility for all at the same time. Neither the presence of the state nor its absence can ensure it. Appadurai, 1975, page 68. 2. Positive liberty. At the sphere of positive liberty, we are concerned with certain actions of the state that enhance the freedom of the individual within society. In other words, positive liberty allows us to enjoy some basic rights which are guaranteed by the state. The positive aspect of freedom is premised on the actions of the state to enhance our dignity, desire, and social obligations. For instance, a young man may desire university education, which is within the realm of his negative liberty. But it is only through state action that a university can be built to enhance the young man's desire to enjoy the university education. Tip. From the foregoing, it can be said that the ideal of freedom exists not only in the absence of restraints, but also in the presence of opportunity. Last key, classify the content of individual liberty into three, namely private liberty, political liberty, and economic liberty. Private liberty. This is the opportunity to exercise freedom of choice in those areas of life where the results of one's efforts are mainly personal to oneself. For example, freedom of religion and personal security. Political liberty. This is also referred to as constitutional liberty, and it has to do with the right of individual to take part in the affairs of the state through the right to vote, the right to stand as candidates for election, freedom of speech, press, and association. Economic liberty. This is security and the opportunity to find reasonable significance in the earning of one's daily bread, made possible through such rights as the right to work and earn a decent wage. Civil liberty. This sphere of freedom is much more comprehensive than the three discussed earlier. Civil liberty is the sum total of rights recognized by law and secured by the state. It consists of the rights and privileges which the state creates and protects for its subjects. They include the right to life, the right to work, the right to personal safety and freedom, the right to reputation, religion, education, and freedom of speech. 3. Equality. Equality as a political concept has generated a lot of debates. This stems from the fact that, naturally, we know that men are not equal. Men are unequal in bodily proportion, physical strength, intellectual abilities, and moral capacity. The two main sources of men's inequality are nature and nature. Granted this fact of inequality of men, then in which senses can we talk of equality? We can talk of equality in the following sense. 1. From the ethical perspective, men are equal as such in the possession of rationality. This very fact separates man from the lower animals and connects him with his fellow men. 2. Civil equality. This has to do with equality before the law. The recognition of civil equality implies that the citizens of a state are treated alike in respect of the control that may be legitimately exercised over them and of the measure of protection which may be entitled to demand at the ends of a government. Types of equality. 1. Political equality. This means that a measure of equality in the share which the citizens of a state have in their government is desirable. The demand for political equality is the basis of democracy, which implies the demand that the system of power be erected upon the similarities and not the differences between men. 2. Economic equality. Although men's differences in need and capacity are too numerous to enable equality of wealth to be maintained for any length of time among men, economic equality means the provision of adequate opportunities for all. Such opportunities include the right to work. From the philosophical perspective, we can rely on Aristotle's distinction between two senses of equality in his book, Politics. These are the arithmetical progression and geometrical progression. In the arithmetical progression, two persons are equal if the conditions in which they are treated are the same or identical as when two persons are subjected to flat rate taxation. Equality in the geometrical progression entails that the parameters for assessing people are graded. This means that people involved in any scheme are treated based on their circumstances and strengths, and this can be demonstrated through progressive taxation as different from flat rate taxation. The following inferences then become obvious in our consideration of liberty and equality. 1. The meeting point between freedom and equality, especially at the political and economic level, can be situated in equality of opportunities. This means that people have freedom to compete in the race of actualizing their potentialities, but at the end, one person will do better than the other. 2. The concept of freedom and equality also manifests at the economic sphere, where there is competition, and at the end of the competition, people will come out in different terms of acquisition of wealth due to their skill and ingenuity. 3. In liberal democracy, such as we have in Great Britain and the United States of America, much emphasis is placed on freedom than on equality. Many liberal democracies have always emphasized individual freedom. While emphasizing this, there is equality of opportunities for all the citizens to pursue their social, political, and economic desires. Given this situation, it is very obvious that with emphasis more on individual freedom, equality will be diminished as people will end up differently within the political space. In socialist democracies, or what may be regarded as democratic centralism, the emphasis has always been on the attainment of equality. The philosophy of these socialist states like Russia and China had either to be modeled on the Marxist socialist doctrine, which is opposed to full capitalism. In trying to emphasize the equality of citizens through economic and political policies, the liberties of the citizens are greatly reduced. Notwithstanding the different perspectives on liberty and equality within liberal and socialist democracies, it must be emphasized that we cannot talk about one without the other. They can therefore be described as complementary political concepts. Study section summary. In this study section, we discuss two complementary political concepts, that is, liberty and equality from the purview of the individual. We showed that absolute liberty, freedom, and equality is not possible due to human nature and sociality, but that we can talk about liberty and equality in relative terms as they feature in different political systems. End of study section 4. Thanks for listening.